To believe in democracy is to understand that each of our citizens has wisdom and has a voice. And if we refuse to listen to that voice, even our most successful fights will...
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it and doing it.
Robert Niro doesn't just call people out, he demolishes them. J.D. Vance, he never stood a chance. One moment, he's trying to play the serious politician, and the next, Niro is ripping him apart like a scene from a Scorsese film. With the precision of a mob boss, Niro exposes Vance's fake MAGA persona, his blind loyalty to Trump, and his sudden amnesia about democracy. Hold on tight. This Hollywood legend just turned the vice president into the punchline of his next Oscar-worthy...
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about... I said, what just happened, just happened. No, it didn't. It didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are.
And so one of the takeaways is not just that the Republican Party base is somehow fundamentally flawed in a way that's unique in American political history.
Before we move on, smash that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss this one. Unfortunately for Vance, political amnesia isn't as contagious as he hoped. His past criticisms of Trump, once delivered with the confidence of someone who thought he'd never need Mar-a-Lago's approval, are still floating around. Whether in old interviews, archived tweets, or conveniently preserved video clips, they're out there. No matter how hard he scrambles to rewrite history, there's always footage of him detailing, in painful depth, why Trump was a threat to democracy, unfit for office, and morally bankrupt.
I think that I've learned my lesson on speaking for the president before he and I have actually talked about an issue.
He's so stupid. Look at the lame, inane things that he said. He's so stupid, he can't even say anything clever or smooth. He's a moron, but he's a scary one. And in all seriousness, and we know it here, deeply insecure. He is a malignant narcissist.
Now, Vance is performing verbal gymnastics worthy of an Olympic medal, hoping no one notices the whiplash. The man who once painted Trump as a threat to the country has been replaced by someone insisting Trump is its only hope. He's perfected the art of sycophantic soundbites, delivering them with the enthusiasm of a hostage reading a scripted statement. Every interview, every tweet, every rehearsed defense of Trump reeks of desperation. The kind that screams he knows how ridiculous he looks, but is too deep into it to turn back.
Biggest problem with Trump, and there are many, many things to pick out, but my biggest problem with Trump is that his message to the right, especially the white working class of which I came from, is anti-conservative and in some ways anti-American. It's fundamentally that the deck is so stacked against you that unless I'm the president, nothing that you do will change your life's outcomes. I think it's wrong, and I think it's very self-destructive.
I mean, he's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up.
For all his efforts, Vance will never earn Trump's true trust. To the die-hard MAGA crowd, he's a useful tool, a late-stage convert. To everyone else, he's just another politician who traded his principles for power. And Robert Niro? He remembers it all. For Niro, this wasn't just another politician shifting his morals. It was a full-blown Broadway show titled Asterisk Sellout, the J.D. Vance story. The man who once built his brand on honest working-class values has now morphed into a walking, talking Trump-approved bobblehead.
I've been able to deport about 37,600 people, which is not a small number, but to really get those numbers up, it would have to be about 60,000 a week to hit that 12 million mark. You run out of beds. You have like 47,000 people in detention, but you've run out of beds. What next?
Well, first of all, we have to do this sequentially, Laura. So what the president said on the campaign is the very first and most important thing is to secure the borders. You know, we have 20 million, maybe more illegal aliens in this country right now. We have to stop that number from growing. And by the way, in 6 weeks, we've almost accomplished complete border security. You've had places that had 1,500 illegal encounters.
Why people are not taking him seriously.
He was vicious to her.
He's vicious.
Darrow, who spent decades perfecting the art of sniffing out phonies, frauds, and wise guys with sudden selective amnesia, wasn't about to let Vance slide. Let's be real, Vance didn't just change his mind. He hit the political reset button so hard it nearly rewrote history. His past criticisms of Trump erased. His once principled stance magically replaced with whatever keeps him in Trump's good graces. It's the kind of transformation that makes you wonder if one morning, Vance just woke up and decided his entire personality was up for negotiation.
You guys are working hard every single day, and I think it's pretty good news, right? That as of a couple of months ago, you have an administration that's working with you and facilitating your hard work instead of making it harder to innovate, which is, I think, what the last administration did. Though, in defense of Joe Biden, he was asleep most of the time. I don't think he totally realized what he was doing, but certainly didn't make it easier. His administration did not for our...
First, do you remember Robert De Niro, the tough guy who played Raging Bull Jake LaMotta and Goodfellas wise guy Jimmy Conway, but lately has become a weeping, shrieking victim of Trump derangement syndrome?
But Darrow wasn't just calling out the obvious hypocrisy. He was exposing the bigger scam. Politicians like Vance assume people are too distracted, too exhausted, or too blindly loyal to notice when they're being played. The idea that someone could publicly trash Trump, write entire books about how dangerous he is, then turn around and act like they've been in the MAGA club all along. It's almost impressive in its shamelessness. Almost. The problem? Vance isn't fooling everyone. Certainly not Darrow. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about one guy flip-flopping for political survival. It's about how easily democracy gets trampled when those in power decide that principles are just inconvenient roadblocks on their way to the top. And that's where Darrow went straight for the jugular. This wasn't your run-of-the-mill political backpedaling. It was Olympic-level, record-breaking, physics-defying flip-flopping. J.D. Vance didn't just change his stance. He performed a full ideological exorcism on himself. The man who once compared Trump to a certain mustache-wearing dictator was now standing there, nodding along like a kid trying to impress his...
Stupid. Silly.
It's not necessary?
No.
You don't really know when you're doing this because your adrenaline's going, you're trying not to say anything stupid. You don't actually know how it's going, really. Like, I felt pretty good about it, but my wife comes out at the very end, just to sort of like this one final, segment for the TV cameras. Gwen Waltz comes up and my wife comes up, and I look at Usha's face, and I just knew. I was like, holy shit.
Nice.
We must have done a very good job, because Usha doesn't lie to me,
Yeah.
and her face especially doesn't lie to me, and I knew that minute that we had a very good...
What changed? Not Trump. He's still the same guy, still spouting the same nonsense, still breaking records for the most criminal indictments per golf swing. The only thing that changed was Vance's thirst for power. Turns out, principles are great, until they start getting in the way of a Senate seat and a shot at something bigger. And Darrow? He wasn't about to let this one slide, because at some point it stops being about political survival and starts looking like a full-blown personality transplant. Vance went from a self-proclaimed champion of working-class America to a guy who smiles and claps like a plant in the audience every time Trump so much as clears his throat. The same man who once warned that Trump was dangerous is now hoping the big guy might pick him to carry his golf bag in 2028. But here's the real kicker. Vance isn't even good at pretending. His transformation isn't seamless. It's awkward, forced, and about as convincing as a bad actor reading cue cards. He's like a guy who hated pineapple on pizza his whole life, but now swears it's the best thing ever. Except he's still making a face every time he takes a...
Said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted. And because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans are going to not give up power.
You know he won't. You know he won't. He even said it. He's never going to give it up. And anybody who deludes themselves in thinking that he is